Back in the SUV here, got a good episode. We are talking about 5 big name players you do not want to keep for your Dynasty League or your Keeper League this year. Now, these are big names coming off in round 1 if you're talking redraft leagues. So we're talking massive names that you're going to be tempted to want to keep because of their talent, number one, and how well they did last year or the years prior. So these are big names, okay? And now that we're in Dynasty season, a lot of people are, trying to figure out who they want to keep or getting in that Dynasty keeper mode or just starting to think about fantasy next year, or even we want to talk about players to avoid. This is definitely the video for you. So potential bust for this upcoming season. And we're talking massive names here. I'm going to tell you guys who they are and why you need to avoid. Now stay to the end as well. I'll give you some tips in regards to Dynasty, a couple quick tips at the end that I use personally that have worked for me because I've been crushing it in Dynasty. It's one of my favorites. I love being able to keep certain players. Now, I was in Dynasty league years ago where we keep 4 players and we just basically start the draft in round 5, which was a lot of fun. And I'd always crush that league because I always ended up keeping my core 4. And I'll tell you kind of how I did that, kind of my secrets here on what I look for, okay? So if you're new to the channel, smash it, tap it, slap it, hit the thumbs up. Going to continue, guys, delivering amazing content for you. We're talking players to avoid for Fantasy Football 2025. You can pre-order the 16-round draft session so you know all the optimal players drafted in each round. That's literally available for pre-order right now. And also, you can actually get logged in and signed in, but the first version of this comes out second week of May, typically around 2 weeks after the NFL draft, after everything kind of gets laid out. So 16 rounds, you're able to pre-order it right now. I've linked it below. Get in the course right now, okay? Let's talk about this. Hit the thumbs up and drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys think of this list. Are you going to be avoiding these guys, or am I just crazy for even considering avoiding these big names, okay? First player that if you have him in Dynasty, now's the time to get rid of him, sell him now while you can, is Derrick Henry. Now let's talk about him. Now he's the 4th running back on the consensus, on the Consensus rankings. RB4, ironically, coincidentally, whatever you want to call it, it's not a coincidence. These guys just copy and paste all the time. He is the 4th running back on the board amongst running backs, and he finished 4th amongst running backs last year. Whoa, no surprise. Surprise, surprise. I did a video recently talking about players to avoid, and he was one of them. Here's why I'm avoiding him, okay? The guy is, 31 years old. Like, he's over 30. That's a big red flag. Coming off yet another pinnacle year. I mean, look at this. 325 attempts, 1,921 yards, 5.9 yards per carry, and 16 touchdowns. So that is a big indicator. Coming off a pinnacle year, over 30. So there's a lot of key indicators that are telling me don't draft this guy again, or don't even keep him, right? It's time to move on. Another thing was that I heard this about a week ago. I put it in my other video. I was talking about it briefly, but I want to highlight it. Is that the Ravens were meeting with Ashton Genty. Like, why are you meeting with the top rookie running back prospect when you've got the so-called Derrick Henry? So if, the Ravens are looking towards the future, you should be as well, because your dynasty team and your fantasy team is obviously more important than reality. Because for me, my fantasy team is better than reality. I care about my team because I have a lot of invested, whether you're putting a lot down or whatever your buy-in league is, or you're just super passionate about it, or bragging rights. Your team is valuable to you. So if, like I said, the Ravens are looking at, thinking the same thing that I'm thinking, it's like, okay, man, this guy coming off pinnacle years, over 30, amazing talent, but I think last year was his last hurrah. So I think you guys should start looking elsewhere. If you got him as a keeper, now's the time to drop him or trade him or find something you could do with him. Trade high while you still can, okay? I think they're going to draft another rookie. And maybe, they're going to work him in slowly. If it's Genty or someone else, he's not going to fall to the 27th pick. It's not going to be Genty. It's going to be another guy. Maybe it's Hampton, or maybe it's Travion Henderson or someone like that. It would be a good compliment. But it's going to be annoying for Henry because he's got this guy breathing down his neck. And maybe that could push him. But I don't know. I'm just personally, I'm out. I'm out on Henry. I mean, I've enjoyed his fantasy points for years. I had him when everybody else was sleeping on him. Now it's time to move on, okay? Number 2 here, another big name that I'm staying away from now. This year, it's so funny with this guy. This year, it's like, oh, thanks, Captain Obvious. I'm obviously staying away from him. I'm not going to draft him. The guy I'm talking about is Christian McCaffrey, sitting at RB8. Finished as RB 69 last year, okay? Listen to 0 rushing touchdowns, 4 games last year, 47.8 fantasy points. Everybody and their mother. I would go to the Walmart or wherever I was going, doing some shopping, and I would go to the magazine section. He was on the cover of he graced the magazine covers everywhere. Everyone told you, first of all, everyone told you draft CMC. I was the only one doing videos this time last year, believe it or not, February, telling you do not draft Christian McCaffrey. We're talking Super Bowl hangover. We were talking older age. We were talking just got engaged. We were talking injury history in the past. I was giving you a ton of reasons not to draft Christian McCaffrey. And sure enough, everybody was telling you to draft Christian McCaffrey. And yet a lot of people did. He was a top 2 pick. If you didn't get him first, you got him second overall pick. And that was it. It was like everyone was drafting him. So he's heading into his 9th season. I'm just not doing it. I'm past all this CMC thing. He was cool back in like 2019, and I've been off that train. Remember, in 2020 and 2021, he played a combined 10 games in those 2 seasons, and that was a big indicator. Then he came off 2 pinnacle seasons, and I'm like, okay, man, 2 pinnacle seasons, he's going to go down. He went down last year, and he could come back and have a good season, but I'm just not going to do it. I'm just done. I would sell him, and the thing is, like, right now, you're just not going to sell him at a high price. You're going to be, people are just kind of down on him right now, right? So in theory, you could kind of keep him, hope for a bounce back kind of trade after a couple hot games. People are going to think he's going to go back to the CMC of the old. But personally for me, I just don't want him on my roster. I'm just over that. You always, again, I'm going to get to the tips at the end, but you're always looking for youth. And that we're going to get to that in a second, okay? That's my number 2 player to avoid. Get rid of them, sell them off. Dynasty, you don't want to keep them, okay? Number 3 here, big name, another big, huge name, sitting as wide receiver 3, and he was a top wide receiver last year, CeeDee Lamb, the top guy. Finished 8th, though. Now, there was an injury with Dak Prescott, who only played 8 games. He had a torn hammy, did Dak Prescott. Apparently, now he's back. He's healthy. I'm also hearing now, which is crazy, the Cowboys are going to be fading. And I don't know if this is just doing this for, to steer people off. But apparently the Cowboys are going to be fading the running back position on the 12th pick, which is ludicrous. Now, Gentry could go off before that. He could end up being a Bear or someone like that. But if Gentry falls to 12th pick, the Cowboys have got to be the worst organization if you want to avoid Gentry. He's just elite talent. Again, there's other guys, Hampton, Henderson, Johnson. Caleb Johnson looks really good. I did a video on it. Go back and check it out on these running backs. But I will tell you this, if the Cowboys pass up on a running back, they are the worst organization of all time. Going back to CeeDee Lamb, entering sixth season, something like that. Had a decent year last year, only 6 touchdowns, 152 targets, 101 receptions, 1,194 yards, still managed to get a 1,000-yard receiving season. And I get he's good, but you still have to spend like a first-round pick. You're going to have to get him as a top 6, 7, 8 pick. And I'm just not going to do that if you're talking redraft. In keeper, again, I'm looking for youth. If you ask me like who I'd rather have, Brian Thomas Jr. or CeeDee Lamb, I like the upside of Brian Thomas Jr. I like the youth. And again, he's still young, but I don't know, man. The Cowboys don't excite me. Dak Prescott being the highest paid quarterback, it doesn't seem right. I can name 15 quarterbacks that are better than Dak Prescott, including Jaden Daniels, including Bo Nix. I think Bo Nix has more upside than Dak Prescott. Oh, you're crazy, Joe. Call me whatever you want. But anyway, I'm not excited about CeeDee Lamb. He was a big disappointment last year. I told you to fade him. He was coming off a pinnacle year, and he dropped. Finishing 8th is not bad. If you could trade him for someone younger, work a deal where you could trade him. I'm in a dynasty league where I'm able to trade. Try to, target some younger guys. You can sell off the name. Now, the good thing about CeeDee Lamb, again, minimal committee. He's the wide receiver 1, clear cut, and that's always good. He's going to get the targets, he's going to get the volume, he's going to be safe. I'm personally looking for the future, and I just don't trust Dak. I just don't trust that guy. I don't know what it is. Okay, number 4 here. Again, stay to the end. I got those tips for you. And I've kind of been peppering them in here as we're talking. Okay, and drop a name below. What do you guys think? Are you keeping these guys if you got them? Are you looking to trade them? Let me know. I'd look to trade these guys. Look for the future, okay? Number 4 here is Tyreek Hill. Again, old, age 32, 10th season. Finished 18th amongst wide receivers, was a top first-round pick last year. Top 5, top 10 pick. Easily last year in all fantasy drafts. 81 receptions, under 1,000 yards with 959 yards. 959 yards, guys. We're talking Tyreek Hill, first-round pick last year, only 6 touchdowns. You could say there was injury to, you could say all this and that, make all these excuses for him. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it, man. And the guy's out there, he wants to race the sprinter. I can't think of the name right now. Help me out, guys, in the comments. When I'm thinking fantasy, my mind's not working. But he wants to do like a sprint to be the fastest man on the planet. Dude, you're 32 years old. You got like 10 baby mamas. I don't know how many kids you got. Don't quote me. I don't know the exact number. But, man, it's like 32 years old. I'm looking towards the future, and Tyreek Hill ain't it, man. He's just not it. So I would sell him now, while you still can. You can still sell off the name. You can still sell off the hype. These guys, get rid of them now. Derrick Henry coming off that pinnacle year. CeeDee Lamb, stock's a little down. CMC, stock's a little down. CeeDee Lamb, you can still sell. Tyreek, you can still sell. Trade, look for the youth, okay? And then number 5 here is Lamar Jackson. And some people get upset about this and say, wow, Joe, why are you avoiding Lamar Jackson? Very simple, guys. Finished first amongst quarterbacks. Definitely going to regress. 430 points. Definitely going to regress. And here's the thing, right? Let's talk about his stats here. 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, phenomenal. 4,172 yards passing. Amazing. Okay? Here's the thing. He's never done that before. And I really doubt he's going to do it again or anywhere close to those numbers back-to-back years. Now, again, rushing upside's always there. Now, he did have the injuries back in 2021, 2022. In those games, he played 12 games in each of those 2 games, missing a lot of time. When you miss 6, 7 games, I got question marks, right? And they came back, had 2 really good years. So 2 bad years, 2 good years. What's the 5th year going to look like? If we're talking, the last 5 years, 2 good, 2 bad. What's the 5th year going to look like? If we're talking the last 5 years. So, heading into his 8th season, great talent. I don't even like his receivers. Zay Flowers as the 1. I don't think he's a true 1. He's like a 2A, 1B. I don't know, man. I'm not excited about Lamar having the same type of year. I'd rather have more of the upside of Jaden Daniels. I think there's way more upside there. And Lamar Jackson, go look at his stats. He's never put up these numbers. He kind of came close. I think it was 2019. He kind of came close, but never quite like this phenomenal type year. And I don't think he's going to do it. He may do it again. I just don't think back to back. I think that's kind of the main issue I'm having with him. Okay, so let me know, guys, what you think of those 5 and those tips here when we're talking Dynasty. You want to follow the Cuddy system: consistency, upside, durability, depth, and youth. Some of these guys are still young, right? A guy like CeeDee Lamb, still relatively young. Lamar Jackson as a quarterback, still relatively young. But you want to look at durability. You want to look at trends. You want to look at, Lamar missing those 2 games. Has he been consistent through the years? Derrick Henry, 30 years old. You got to take a look at so many variables, but the biggest key factor when I'm looking at Dynasty, and I think everybody does this, is youth, right? I know it's common sense, but common sense ain't that common. You definitely want to look for youth. You definitely want to look at how they did last year a little bit. Are they trending up? Are they trending down? And situations. I'll give you an example. Ladd McConkey, I've got him in a Dynasty League. I think he's still going to have a good season, but I'm thinking of possibly trading him before news hits that they draft a top wide receiver or they bring in another wide receiver, because I don't think, Quentin Johnston's the guy. I think they need a true 1. I think McConkey's got that potential, but I just don't think, I think he's a 1B. I just think they're going to bring somebody else in or do something where it's going to potentially really dip into the volume of Ladd. So again, you got to take a look at situations in youth. Yeah, Ladd McConkey, great year last year, higher ADP this year. I got him in the 7th to 9th round last year. I got to pay more for Ladd this year, and it's just do I really want him? I'd probably rather look at a Marvin Harrison Jr. this year, who's lower on ADP, and try to trade for someone like that, because I still think he's a better talent, is Marvin Harrison Jr., and possibly going to have less competition, and the competition that Harrison's going to get will not supersede him, because they've made him, he's going to be the 1, right? He's like the Jamar Chase. No one's going to supersede him. Marvin Harrison, no one's going to supersede him. A guy like McConkey, he's supersedable, if that's even a word. Does that make sense? So I just feel like they're going to bring somebody in. So situation, youth, and you really want to, again, you can trade high on the name. Derrick Henry, RB4 in redraft right now. Trade high on the name, trade off those pinnacle years, okay? And if you saw he's coming off a pinnacle year that he's never, ever done, it's very unlikely he's going to do it again. A guy like Saquon Barkley, right? I'd probably keep him this year. I think he still has another good year. Just got paid $41 million deal, 2-year contract extension. But is he going to repeat those numbers? Very unlikely, okay? So again, if you want all the information, 16 rounds, going to give you all the sleepers, breakouts. There's some the rookies that I love, all going to be laid out there, so you can pre-order right now. Let me know what you guys think. Are you guys getting rid of these guys? Are you keeping them? Are you going to move on? Hopefully this convinced you to move on, okay? Because I'm really good at seeing regressing players. These guys fit the bill. All right, let me know what you guys think. I appreciate you. I'll keep the content rolling for you. We'll talk soon. And Fantasy Football 2025 is coming back. Enjoy the rest of your day.